Hey guys, Honey here, aka Here's the Deal, and I have a new video for you this week. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite podcasts, and I know I had previously mentioned them already in my favorites video, but I wanted to go a little bit more in depth, talk about what they are, what they do, like what they talk about, and why I like them. And I'm going to post the links to get the podcast below, a little bit more about them below. Without further explanation, I'm just going to dive right on into it. And this isn't in any particular order. These are just the top 4 podcasts that I really like. So here we go. The first podcast that I absolutely love is Freakonomics Radio, and I'm going to show you what that looks like in the podcast app right here. So that's what it looks like with all the titles listed right there. This podcast was actually suggested to me by Joey. He's amazing, and we all know how much I love him, but I love him especially for this suggestion. And if you've heard of the books or the movie that they have on Netflix, then this is exactly the same thing. They just do a brand new episode every week, and it's kind of the same idea as the stuff they talk about in the books. Now, it's called The Hidden Side of Everything. So it basically takes basic economic principles, and it applies that to different things throughout life. And they kind of use their inspiration through what people send in and mail in and want to know about. And then they go and do research and interview a bunch of analysts and different experts in the field, and then professors, like all sorts of different people. And then they just get their opinions, and then they kind of bring together this whole show, and it's really well produced. Some of my favorite titles that I'll go ahead and read: How to Raise Money Without Killing a Kitten? Do Baby Girls Cause Divorce? Would a Big Bucket of Cash Really Change Your Life? My personal favorite, The Suicide Paradox, and it kind of looks at the positive and the negative of suicide. And you wouldn't think there's a positive to suicide, like suicide rates for a nation or a country or a state, but there kind of is, and you'll have to find out when you listen to the podcast. Another podcast I really like is called This American Life, and this is what it looks like in the app. And this is an hour-long broadcast that they usually put out once a week, and it's always separated into different parts, so part 1, part 2, part 3, but the whole episode will have one theme that it rides upon, and then the different parts kind of show the different parts of the theme. It's a really broad podcast, and they interview anybody from analysts, experts, professors to just your average everyday Joe. They focus a little bit more on like this American life, kind of what happens, like what are things that are going on in America, but then they kind of sometimes look at things in other countries, and then you can kind of have some reflection on it as an American. So some of the titles that I really liked were It Says So Right Here, which was about how written documentation can have so much power over your life. Use Only as Directed. That one was really interesting because it was about the whole labeling issue with acetaminophen and Tylenol, and I didn't know anything about that, and so now I feel like way more aware of it, and I've been telling everybody about it, so definitely a really good one to check out. How I Got Into College is a really interesting one. My other favorite is Stuff You Should Know, and it is produced by HowStuffWorks.com, and this is what it looks like in the app. 2 guys do the talking. It's Josh and Chuck, and they just tell you things that you should know. And they also do requests by their viewers or their listeners. They take stuff and then they research the heck out of it, and then they just kind of have this little talk and discussion about it. And it's much like talk radio, so it's not broken down into parts and as highly produced as the other 2 shows, but it's still awesome, and I really like it, and I really enjoy it. Some of the stuff that I've really liked listening to was How Guide Dogs Work, because I had no idea so much work went into raising a guide dog. 10 Ways to Save Money, which is always good. This one was really interesting. It was called Does Owning a Gun Change Your Behavior? And they basically just went off of studies and statistics that were showing that relationship. And they didn't really go into politics and the whole like belief systems on that, because I know that is a really big debate in America right now. It was really interesting, and I highly recommend everybody to listen to it, because I'm not going to say it's going to change your mind, but it's going to open up your mind and you're going to think about something that you didn't think about before, most likely. The last podcast I'm going to talk about is called Stuff Mom Never Told You, and it looks like this in the app. And this one is also produced by HowStuffWorks.com, and it's kind of similar to the Stuff You Should Know, but it's with two women. They kind of talk about women's issues, so contemporary feminism, and they'll talk about current stuff, they'll talk about past stuff, and maybe how it even comes back into still influencing contemporary issues, and it's really interesting. I know when you say feminism, people kind of have this like preconceived notion of, like crazy women and stuff, but they even like talk about that in their podcasts and how they try to dispel those myths and talk about how feminism can be a positive word, which I agree, feminism can be a positive word, but it's a great podcast. I really, really, really like the issues that they talk about. Some of the titles are Crazy Women, When Did Women Start Wearing Pants? What's the difference between gender and sex? Is solidarity for white women? I really like them. I believe they also have a YouTube channel, and if they do, I will post that link below so that you can go and check them out. Really smart women. So anyway, those are my favorite podcasts. They can be found in the podcast store, on iTunes. All of them are totally free. They are family friendly, so you can listen to them with your parents, with your kids, with your cousins, with your friends, with your partner. You can listen to them anywhere, with anybody. All you need is one Wi-Fi connection to download them, or you can even listen to them online through a computer. But it's all totally free. There's no crazy advertising or anything like that. They do talk about some of their sponsors, so maybe give those sponsors some love so we can keep these podcasts for free. It's a great, great, great resource to keep informed on certain issues, especially with my generation being so much into the whole social media and computers and internet. I feel like we definitely lose out on becoming more aware of issues going on in the world. Really just would love it if you guys would check them out. Also, if you have other great podcasts, leave them below so I can go and listen to them, because I'm always looking for new podcasts. So I'd love it if you would comment below. Please subscribe so you can know when I upload new videos, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching so much. Bye!